Okay, so here's an opportunity to give you some helpful hints that will hopefully help you with your projects. Number one, never map data in a geographic coordinate system. Everything must be in a projected coordinate system. If data is not in a projected coordinate system, a lot of relationships won't work, a lot of calculations are really jacked up, things just don't go the way they're supposed to go. Because a GCS is angular coordinates, and so you don't get normal distances and things. So don't do it. Make sure everything is projected. Number two, is all your data in the same projection? Now, the answer from students is always yes. And then you look and the answer is no. Make sure. It's so easy to forget or to miss one. So take every piece of data in your table of contents and look at the properties and make sure that everything is in the same projection. Number three, when you had data that was not in the correct projection, did you use the correct tool to fix it? Now, there's two basic tools I'm going to talk about, and these are the ones that will cause problems if you use the wrong one. If data comes in and it is not, the projection is not defined, you use the define projection tool to define it. Now this indicates that you know what it's supposed to be. Not what you want it to be, but what it is. If you know what it is, it's just not defined that way, then you can define it that way. If you don't know what it is, you either need to research more and try to figure out what it was supposed to be in, or you assign it to what you think it is, which is one of the common projections, and then see if it actually works. Now, if everything lines up like it's supposed to with other data, you picked the right one, and everything's fine. If it did not, well, then you got a problem. And then you change it and define it as something else. It's basically like whack-a-mole. You put in one projection, see if it works. If it doesn't, swap. You hit it with the tool again, and you change it to something else. And by change it, I mean change the label, because that's all a define projection tool does. Now, if and when you've got it displaying properly, but still not in the projection you want, because remember, on-the-fly projection will display things together, even if they're in different projections. Then you're going to use the project tool to change the projection from whatever it is to whatever you want it to be. Unless it's a raster, in which case you have to use the project raster tool, because the project tool won't work on rasters. And the last little hint for that, if you're trying to just define the projection and you end up with a new data set, you use the wrong tool. If you're trying to create a new data in a new projection and you don't get a new data set, you use the wrong tool. Alright, let's see here, where are we at? Number 4. Each data layer makes a nice map by itself. So this is just kind of a stylistic little hint. Trying to figure out what to put in your poster, what to put in your report. You got 3 or 4 different pieces of data, different data components to your model or what have you. Make a map out of each one showing how that variable displays across the study area. It'll give you something to write about in your results, and it'll give you more maps and figures. Now, let's see, number 5. Stick to the facts until the end. Opinions only belong in the conclusion. So when you're talking about facts, stick to them. In the results are the factual things that you discover, the things that you see, where things are, how much things are, how many things are, that kind of stuff. The whys and the hows are the opinions that belong in the conclusions, and remember not to crawl too far out on that conclusion limb. Number 6, always make your maps in the layout view, not in the data view. When you make them in the layout view, you can add the table of contents, you can add in your north arrows and scale bars and all that kind of stuff. A couple little points. The layout view, when you're working in there, you can go over and change the labels on the data in your table of contents, and that will be updated in your legend and on your maps. And so if you didn't give things good names and you've got a reclass number to final and it's supposed to be, flying squirrel habitat, just go over do a slow double click on the title in the table of contents of that particular data set, and it'll light up blue so that you can change it, and then just type in what you want it to call it. Alright, number 7. Export your maps. Don't take screen grabs of maps and try to work them into your reports and on your posters. They just don't look good. When you go through all the hassle of making a nice map in a layout view, just go over and export it. Go up to the file. You can go down to export map. You can adjust the resolution. You can tell it where you want to save it. You can give it a name. It's just a much better way of doing things. Number 8, write short. I know this is counterintuitive, but it's the truth. Say the minimum that you need to say what you want to say, and then stop and go on to the next thing. It is much easier when you're done to realize how much more writing you need to do, and then go back and work it in the places where it fits the best. If you need a little bit, maybe your introduction a little bit longer. If you need a lot, focus on elaborating on more stuff in your results. If you really need a lot, go back and spend a lot more time in your methods. The easy places to pick up space is to talk about your data, talk about your maps, and to talk about the background. Alright, number 9. Do the GIS, then do the poster, then do the report. So what do I mean by this? Get the GIS work done so that you have all the components you need to do everything else. Don't worry about nothing until that is right. Once that's right and you've got those maps, make that poster, because that's the thing that's due next. Put out the fire that's burning now before you move on to the next one. Alright, number 10. Number 10 isn't really a hint, it's just hey, you're good students, I'll cut you a break. I'll allow you to turn the report up until the start of the final exam. That gives you more time than what the syllabus says, and that's my purview to do that. If you're not ready to do your presentation come class time, do not quit and just stay home and say, well, I'm going to fail the class, mean professor. Nah, don't worry about all that. If you're not ready, I'll work with you to finish it a little bit late. Now, there'll be a cost, but remember, the presentation is a minimal amount of points compared to the report. So even if you don't get the presentation done for 2 or 3 days after the due date, what's it going to cost you? Even if it only costs you half the grade for that particular component, you still only lost like what, 25 points depending on the class. That's not bad. As long as that you then get your report done on time, because that I'm not really going to cut you much slack because I've already give you an extra week. So you need to have the reports done. Alright, so that's what we've got. Hopefully these hints will help you make a better project, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and I will see you guys next week. And remember, guys is a non-gender specific pronoun. Have a nice day. Bye.